Welcome to the Majesty Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Faith, and I'm excited to have you here. This podcast is all about spirituality, manifestation, personal development, esoteric knowledge, and much more. Now, let's get into today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls and divine beings. Welcome to the very first episode of my podcast. Thank you for being here. So today, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, maybe talk about my journey, and whatever else seems to come to mind. If I'm being completely honest, I started this podcast because I really just wanted to go on rants and tangents about spiritual knowledge and concepts that I find fascinating. Not everybody in my personal life wants to hear me go on and on about this, but hopefully you will. Hopefully you'll learn something that uplevels your soul and inspires you. So, a little bit about me. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for about 3 years now. I went vegan because I had severe acne-prone skin growing up, so I decided to cut out dairy. So it was really a lazy choice, just because I didn't want to look at all the labels and pick out what had dairy and what didn't. Obviously, if I'm going vegan, it's already cut out. Cutting out meat was kind of hard for me because, well, I liked meat. But it did cut out a lot of inflammation in my body, so it was a win-win. And now I'm good, like full-blown vegan. I don't really crave meat. It's just not my forte anymore. And although my reasoning for vegan was more so based on a personal choice and like aesthetic, really, I do love animals, so that's a plus. I have 2 dogs and a cat. I also have a separate pet business, so I'm pretty much always around some type of animal, and I absolutely love it. Another fun fact about me, I absolutely love astrology. More than that, but we'll just focus on astrology for now, so let's talk zodiacs. I'm a Gemini sun, Taurus moon, and Leo rising. I've been into astrology since I was a kid. Pretty much whenever I found out what my sun sign was, I was like, oh wow, like this is me. I used to binge read or binge watch horoscopes. That was all I really talked about as a kid. Even now, one of the first questions I'll probably ask someone is, oh, what's your sign? Or maybe try to guess their sign, because I just feel like that system, even though people are like, no, that's just general information. Yeah, maybe, but the deeper you get into it, the more I feel like, wow, this is spot on. But it could be just me, but we'll get into that in future episodes. So as far as like spirituality and things like that, I did grow up as a Christian in a Christian home, so I have a Christian background, but around 2017 or 2018, I started meditating because I did have anxiety and depression, and that seemed to really, really help. Later on within that year, I went to an art show. One of my friends was having an exhibit, and there was a jewelry maker there. She was making jewelry with crystals. So I was drawn to I believe it was Amazonite and tuxedo agate. So it was 2 rings that I got from her. They were wrapped in copper, and I didn't know much about crystals. I just thought they were pretty at the time. I was just drawn to those 2. But she explained the healing properties of both, and it turns out it was exactly what I needed at the time. So it was perfect. Later that year, or the following year, I got into the 7 chakra system, and that was my jam at that time. That was my number one question. How's your chakras? How is your chakras? Just trying to figure out where people's energy was residing, like which chakra needed work, this, that, and the third, including my own. I became obsessed with the idea of like a Kundalini awakening. I kept trying to move mine and open my chakras. I was able to open my sacral chakra. That was the one that needed the most work, I think. The lower 3 for sure, but the sacral one, it was just, my pleasure center was just all types of messed up, and not in like a sexual way, but just like I was afraid to let go and like enjoy myself, like all work and no play kind of vibes. So one night after deep meditation, I was able to open it, and I thought I was a full-blown yogi at that point. But obviously I wasn't. So shortly after that, I got introduced to tarot, and similar to when I was a kid, I started binge watching all of the tarot horoscopes or the tarot readings on YouTube. I would go to work and just watch. My coworkers already knew what time it was when I came in. It's just like, leave me alone. I got to see what's going on for today. So that's a little bit about me, but today I want to take the rest of this episode to really talk about the journey. So talking about that point where you're in a space where you're between where you've come or where you've come from and where you want to go or where you want to be. How do you romanticize this process? So a lot of people say, oh, trust the process and it'll work out, have faith. And for a while, I didn't trust it. I needed control. I had a lack of faith, full pun intended. So what changed? I would say I realized I had nothing left to lose. I realized that trying to control every outcome and force things to fall in place, it just became exhausting. Like I was only prolonging the process of who I was meant to be. And I know it's cliche, but it's the whole idea of get out of your own way. Like, what is standing in between you and where you want to go? Most likely is you. Is your thought patterns, is your habits. So I started to romanticize the fact that I woke up every morning, gratitude. Even when I'm tired, when I wake up and my mind comes online, because sometimes if I have a vivid dream that night, sometimes it takes a second. Like I'm like, oh, we're back in this body. But anyways, when I open my eyes and I recognize that I've made it to a new day, there's a part of me that's excited and just grateful and like, let's go. It's a fresh start. Kind of like a video game. You get another shot at this level. But it's real life. But today might be the day that I actually level up and go to that next level and achieve my goals. And even if I don't, I know that my actions, they'll compound into that success that I'm looking for, that success that I want. So what can I do today to propel future faith forward to do the great things that I'm dreaming about or the great things that I see, but I'm just not there yet. So another thing that I started doing is taking note of what actually feels good to me. Not what social media says, not what the news says, my family, friends, partner, etc. What does faith like? What tickles me pink? What feels good to me? One is definitely coffee. Caffeine is not healthy. I know that. Don't tell me, but I love it. And maybe that's why when I wake up in the morning, I'm excited, but no, I'm kidding. But I realized that I really do like feeling in my body or like being in my body, like the sense of groundedness that truly soothes me. I do have a good bit of earth modalities and a few earth signs in my chart, as you know, Taurus moon. But doing things like going outside, working out, massages, getting my scalp scratched, or when I'm getting my hair washed, you know how she scratch her hair in the back? The wash girl. Yeah, I like that. But it really does give me a sense of peace and just overall just like a sigh of relief. So it's these little luxuries that allow me to project my life as, in my head, a quaint Hallmark movie. And of course, I'm the main character. So think about what you can do to put yourself, as they say on social media, into the main character energy, but not even that, more so just how can you fall in love with your life? Like really think or even journal out what you love about your current life. What can you add to your daily life or routine that will cause you to fall in love with it? A great book that really helped me do this was Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about how you can form habits and reward yourself, or habit stack. So every time you do a new habit, you reward yourself. And that's really similar to and this is going to sound bad, but don't take it this way. You kind of do the same thing when you're training like a puppy. Like, if you go outside, you give them praise, you give them treats. It's the same thing. Some people believe that we are animals, and the animal mind, like subconscious mind, has to be trained the same way pretty much. So think about what habits that you can implement and what patterns can you repeatedly program into your life to change it. Last thing, I made an active decision to stop worrying so much. I'm still working on this because, again, it's hard for me to let go and let God, as they say. A lot of times I will still try to control things or control outcomes. Oh, I'm going to finesse this. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do this and I'm going to move this. And it doesn't work out. But when I do, I don't always surrender, but when I do, it's exhilarating. Even when things seem to be going south or taking longer than expected, instead of getting upset, instead of blowing up, instead of freaking out, I've just been finding my breath, again, being in my body, and completely focusing on the fact that it's all going to work out. In a sense, I kind of treat that like a game too, because at this point, I focus on what I can control, what I can do, my mindset, and the rest is up to the universe. The rest, now it's a game of, okay, pass the baton. How can you see me through? How can this work out for my good? And that's what I believe. And once you fully commit and latch on to, no matter what happens, it's going to work out for the best. Just, you may have to go through the fire, but on the other side, it's there. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Trust the journey, trust the process. I guess this is something that I just wanted to touch on because even creating this podcast has been a jump for me. It's definitely a trusting process. I've probably recorded this or re-recorded this several times. I don't even know if I'll put this one up, but if I do, I appreciate you for listening. Yeah, I guess that's it. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. If you would like to connect with me, I am on Instagram and now TikTok at Faith Grace Inspires. Go ahead and give me a follow. Let me know what you think. This was, it's a quick episode. I know it could be longer, but let's be easy on me, okay? Thank you so much. And yeah, see ya. Thank you for listening to the Majesty Speaks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to leave a review and follow for more. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.